What's up, everybody? Matt Yari here, coming at you with another video, another hairy chest video for you. I know you guys like those ones. So I'm just gonna check in on what's been going on and what did I just do. This is now day two of tracking all of my activity, and it has been just really interesting. Just an interesting, different, new way to kind of live life. And I'm finding it has definitely helped me stay more intentional and putting more basically thought into like everything that I'm doing in a moment-to-moment basis. And I just remembered I have some bone broth warming up here, so I'm gonna go take that off the stove because that's probably really hot right now. Yup. Whew. That's hot as a motherfucker. The other cool thing is that you know how you always forget shit? You always forget something, you ever make a cup of tea and then you put it down to cool off, and then you forget that you made a cup of tea, and then you find it 2 hours later, and it's cold and you can't drink it. Yeah. Because we're constantly just like doing stuff and putting things down. You put your keys somewhere, you start a load of laundry, and you just forget to follow through on things. Something else catches your attention. But by starting this habit of like just writing down everything I do, I'm finding it much easier to remember all those things. Because I'm fucking tracking everything. You know, I just have this like new level of awareness and remembering like what I'm up to all day. The other thing I'm noticing is it's so much easier to get off of distractions. So for me, it's very important to like note that, you know, I scrolled Instagram for a little bit or YouTube or whatever, but I'm not sitting there and just like scrolling endlessly. I'll go for like a couple of seconds each time, and it's just easy to get back on track and on task with something that is more productive. And it's kind of the point. You know, the point is to train myself to focus on activities and get things done that actually contribute towards, you know, the life that I ultimately want to live. And, you know, it brings a certain, how do I say it? Because, this is what I was going to say. The thing about being a human being is, well, there's a lot of aspects to it. But one of them is that, like, you are both the subject and the object, right? So, for example, you know, you are the boss and the employee, if that makes sense. You are the, I guess, slave and slave driver, or similar to boss and employee. But you are the awareness, and you're the thing that awareness is aware of. I hope that didn't sound too silly, right? That's what it means to be self-aware, right? What is awareness? There's this thing here, and it's aware of this other thing over here. But if you're aware of yourself, then you play both those roles at the same time, you know? And I think that is where maybe a lot of like personal development and where that can get really tricky, you know? And why it's hard to, you know, for example, stick to a diet, right? Because the aware part of you wants to stick to the diet. They want to eat a certain way, but then the part that is aware of, we can call it your subconscious or your body, obviously has other motivations, This, this has been kind of talked about in a lot of different books. One of them is that you are both the elephant and the rider. And there's a book called, what's the book called? It's by, shit! It's right off the tip of my tongue. He also wrote The Coddling of the American Mind. It's that author. I'll let it come to me. But he talks about how you are both the elephant and the rider, right? So if you think about a human being riding an elephant or a horse, it's the horse that's doing all the work, but it's the human rider on top that is kind of directing it, or at least wants to direct it. But the rider on top can only really go wherever the horse wants to take it. So ultimately, the horse or the elephant, the thing being that is being ridden, is what makes it happen. And the rider is your conscious mind, whereas the elephant or the horse in this analogy is your subconscious mind. You can think about it as your body, right? Your body is the thing that does all the actions, right? But then it's your conscious mind that is aware that you're in this body that does these things, So it's like, how many times did somebody swear, I'm definitely quitting cigarettes, and then they're smoking again? It's because their body, the horse, likes the feeling of the cigarette, and it's gonna go get that cigarette. Whether the conscious mind judges that. So there's a disconnect. You judge your negative behaviors. And it's hard to get yourself out of that loop. But those behaviors kind of serve a purpose in some ways. Otherwise, you wouldn't do them. And so, in order to kind of take control of who you are and what you do and where you go, you have to have that connection between the rider and the ridden. I need to come up with a better word for that. And meditation is one way to establish that connection. Some would say shadow work. But for me, and I think this is what everybody's trying to go for, is to have that connection, have that self-control. And again, it's only been 2 days, so, I'm not going to say that I've found the Holy Grail, but so far I feel like this has been working for me. And I definitely, feel myself wanting to do the right things in a way that has been difficult to achieve before. So, yeah, that's just my little check-in for you. Thank you for tuning in.